we are back with Lantern Insights, continuing to showcase different decks, different matchups, kind of highlighting this new variant that I've been working on. We open up a pretty good hand here with the two Mishra's Baubles plus the Codex Shredder. I think we're going to be able to get a lot of selection in terms of what we draw. We can pretty much ensure that it's all gas that we draw from here on out. And so while it doesn't look like it does a ton, I think overall it's a pretty solid hand, and you should be keeping these types of hands. We're actually going to lead on Bauble here. Because we have two, we can kind of look at our own top card, and if it's something we want to mill, we'll play the Shredder, and if not, we will play the Duress, because we still have that second Bauble to turn on the Spire. And we do go for the Duress here. I think drawing another Bauble is strong when we have the Shredder. We're going to be able to kind of refill our hand quickly, and we do kind of want the information on what they are playing. Unfortunately, Duress doesn't hit anything here, as they are on Yawgmoth and just don't have any Court of Calling or Agatha's Soul Cauldron in hand, which are the two main creatures that they would hit. It is kind of one downside, I think, to Duress over Inquisition is this matchup, but overall it's still good in a lot of the other, Leyline Binding, the One Ring matchups. It's much better than Inquisition. Just kind of knowing what they're on here. We are kind of lucky. We're playing Cursed Totem main, which is going to be hopefully very helpful in this game. Unfortunately, we do find another land, but we should be able to use these baubles to ensure that we don't hit anymore. Importantly, we are going to be able to kind of do this bauble trick twice, where we find an ensnaring bridge, and then going to be able to play it a second time on their turn. One of the points that the data collection sheet that we use does track is the win rate when you have both Bauble and Shredder in hand, and the data on it is pretty strong, and I think it's just that that added advantage of so much improved card selection, where Bauble isn't just making us a 56 card deck, it's making us a 60 card deck, or 50 card deck, like really able to get rid of a lot that we don't need. And here we do mill the Portable Hole. It's not super relevant here. They're going to get their mana anyway. We can kind of slow Yawgmoth down one turn, but doesn't make a huge difference in this scenario. And we draw a Whir of Invention, which is going to allow us to grab a needle on Yawgmoth. As I suppose we could have kept the Portable Hole just in order to slow Yawg down a turn, but it is what it is. We get to use Whir of Invention here to grab a Pithing Needle. Importantly, they are pretty tapped out as they go for Yawg here, so we are going to be able to Inquisition, see their hand, and land Bridge, and I think that puts us in a pretty strong spot against them. As they do have a lot of draws at this point that aren't going to matter. We do Inquisition and see that they haven't really drawn much since our last Thoughtseize. All lands at this point, so taking the Endurance, we're gonna whir for a Lantern here, and then at that point it's kind of just Grist, Sheoldred, Court of Calling, anything like that we care about. Something like Wall of Roots, just letting them have mana is totally fine in this scenario. They can get in for a bit of damage, but we'll be at zero cards in hand very quickly. One important thing about this matchup is that they do, I'll go through it quicker here now that we're in lock them out mode, but they do kind of have lots of answers at this point. Soul Cauldron is very good here, Grist is very good here. They have a lot of things that matter. So we definitely want more than one Mill Rock pretty quickly, and so it's very nice drawing this second Codex Shredder. Additionally, when you have Urza's Saga, it's basically always correct to make construct tokens, even though you have Ensnaring Bridge down, just so that it's kind of an added layer of protection if they find an answer to Bridge. Now here, you will notice we use the Codex Shredder on their upkeep. They still have a fetch land untapped, and so the correct way to play against Lantern is often to hold your fetches till your upkeep. Online, in paper, this isn't the case, but in online, kind of hoping that they skip through or pass through the upkeep is very viable against Lantern. So when you're playing Lantern, just be careful of that situation and that people will do that. Obviously, in paper, you can tell when they're shuffling their library and stuff, and you can't really just skip through. They have Boseiju on top, but we will mill it, and they elect to concede here. As we get into sideboarding, they have a lot of cards to bring in against us. We have a lot of cards to bring in against them. You know, and this can range everything from like our second curse totems, torpor orbs, pithing needles. You know, Hushbringer sees play in some lists. Extra graveyard hate, surgical extraction, all sorts of cards that we can bring in against them. Before we start the second game, I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm looking to do with this channel, kind of content-wise, where what the goals of it for, and this channel is mainly just focused around getting people better at Lantern. So I've spent a lot of time playing Lanterns, enjoy playing it a lot, really kind of worked on getting better at it, and I kind of want to pass that along to other people, help new people getting into Lantern. I find there's not a lot of resources out there just because a lot of streamers aren't playing it and pros aren't taking it to big events, but it's still definitely something that if you pick up and want to get good at, is a great deck to pick up. I think it definitely can attack the modern metagame in a way that very few other decks have. In terms of what style of content that I've been doing, I've mainly just been doing the replays so far, as it's kind of just easier for me. I know some people have been asking for full leagues, and that would be something I would be open to doing, and doing like with live voiceover. If you guys would be able to like let me know if you would prefer, like when I do the replay videos, I can, you know, do a couple leagues a week and then spread out those games throughout the week. I don't really have the time to be playing, you know, a league every single day, so I wouldn't be able to do full league videos every day. So if you let me know if you'd rather, you know, daily content but kind of a bit shorter, going over replays, or if you'd prefer maybe twice a week leagues plus like the weekend stuff, which usually isn't gameplay anyway. Just let me know what you would prefer, and yeah, I'll happy whatever gets people teaching them Lantern better. It's interesting for me to do. So this hand here, obviously we got the Lock Urza Saga. If we do ship it away, I don't think it has, you know, it's a good hand, but against Yawgmoth, we kind of want a lot more interaction. By the time Saga comes off to get something like Pithing Needle, we are going to like not be in a good spot and be pretty far behind. Additionally, this list has so many tutors that I think we can actually mulligan more aggressively in order to find kind of pieces that are much better against Yawg, which is one of the reasons why I like this hand a lot here. Yeah, that first hand, I don't think just the lock is like a guaranteed keep. Urza Saga, the constructs aren't usually super relevant against Yawgmoth either. If it was a matchup like blue-white control or something like that, where the constructs were a big deal in the matchup, yeah, I would have kept that hand instantly. Here we're gonna send back the welding jar. It's a nice piece of protection, but not at this point we don't necessarily need it. We are gonna duress here. We're looking to take Soul Cauldron or Court of Calling. Unfortunately, they do not have either of those. I'm just showing. Oops, sorry about that. Just showing the, like in their hands, Fulminator Mage is definitely something we're gonna have to look out for. Grist, unfortunately, being a creature everywhere but the battlefield, I believe is how it's worded, is not able to be taken by duress. And so again, we see that duress is kind of double whiffed against Yawg, but as I said earlier, is still worth it. This Fulminator Mage is something that we're gonna have to really watch out for. It's either gonna need a Pithing Needle now, maybe at some point. Will depend on what we draw, as it is, especially if they run it out turn 2. Importantly, they don't have a Cauldron to give everything that they have Fulminator Mage's ability, because that would that would decimate our mana pretty hard. And they were, as you noticed, on just one land, so it does mean that the Fulminator Mage is going to be delayed a turn. Importantly, with this hand, they have a lot of mana, no Yawg yet to get that combo going. We do find an Urza Saga, which means we are going to actually run out the needle on the Fulminator Mage here. We want to get the Saga down early so that we get the tutor sooner, because the tutor is more relevant than the constructs, so that's kind of what we are worried about. Sometimes the constructs are relevant, and you should always be open to that, as we'll see, but not. The reason we play it is for the tutor earlier. Side benefit can get constructs too. They are going to find a Grist here. Grist is not a huge worry immediately. Obviously, its ultimate is one of the ways that it can kill us around Ensnaring Bridge, but we are likely going to have a lot of time to answer it between now and when they're able to activate it. They really start to flood the board here, which is going to put some pressure on us. We're going to want to use this Whir of Invention to get an Ensnaring Bridge. You may notice the reason I held up Saga here is because if I just play out Pithing Needle, I think that's very inefficient mana-wise. Whereas if I hold up the constructs, I can trade with something that they're attacking with, and then they'll have fewer attackers the next turn when I'm able to use the floating mana off Saga for Pithing Needle, and then the Spire of Industry, like my other untapped lands, to get the Whir for Bridge, and then I won't have as much to worry about. Here, I think I mistakenly thought that they hadn't activated Grist, and so I wanted to have the blocker later. Yeah, obviously I should have just ate one of their creatures here. Drawing a second Whir of Invention puts us in a pretty good spot, and these creatures are going to be able to hold us down pretty solidly. Obviously, I probably should have recorded this closer to when I played it, as I was slightly off with what we ended up having our sequencing be. Apologies for that. Here, actually, now that we have Bridge on top, kind of with two Whir of Inventions, it's going to be kind of slow getting to Bridge, but fortunately most of their creatures just have 1 power. So they do run out the Fulminator Mage. Just for next turn, they'll be able to start swinging with more creatures at a time. Here we do see Cursed Totem on top, which is a pretty nice card to see. Just tapping mana properly. Unfortunately, we could run out Bridge here. I think we want to just get a second Codex Strider. We know how much hate they can have in their deck, and so we really want to maximize like our chances of keeping them off it. Yeah, this deck Yawg, they're obviously well prepared for artifacts. Reclamation Sage has kind of been a new addition to their deck since so many people are playing Curse Totems. That's kind of been an uptick over the last month and a half, and Rec Sage wasn't a card they used to use. They used to have cards like Outland Liberator. Unfortunately, Curse Totem does, like, I guess fortunately and also unfortunately, the Liberator does shut that down. So, or the Curse Totem shuts the Liberator down, so they couldn't use it as an answer to Curse Totem. They also couldn't use Haywire Might, so bit of an unfortunate spot, but it is what it is here. Here, importantly, we're going to take out the Halflings first, kind of leave them with the creatures that deal the smallest amount of damage, and we are going to be able to slam Ensnaring Bridge here, and then just eat. They'll only have 4 creatures that can attack, and we'll be able to eat 2 a turn that try to attack. So from here, it's pretty locked up. Again, we would continue to make constructs behind the bridge. Hapatra, importantly, is not too big of a concern when it doesn't have Yawg out. Obviously, with Yawg, it's quite powerful. Here, the reason we make the extra construct is because they have enough 1/1s. Just like we could play Whir of Invention, we could make another blocker. Obviously, it doesn't make a huge difference, which we do because we're in such a commanding position here. So you do get a bit of flexibility towards the end of some games, uh, as you don't have to worry about too much from their side of the battlefield at this point. So we get a 2-0 against Yawgmoth. There was another game in this round where Yawgmoth 2-0'd me. So it's not a total buy this matchup. That game just got pretty unfortunate where we were able to resolve our Curse Totem main deck, and then they were just able to find Shieldred when we were at about 5, and we weren't able to get an answer to it. So obviously there are increasing number of cards that can kill around Ensnaring Bridge, but it's still very good at shutting down most of the things our opponents are able to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, let me know what you think for content, if you'd rather watch full leagues like twice a week, or continuing with the daily kind of replay videos.